I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and to the Greek. I'm Chad Davis, and this is Romans 1:16 Radio.
Start the recording. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. So, I have had 2 people email me this week to withdraw from the class. I have had 3 people tell me this week how they're struggling and need to get caught up. Okay? Even the folks that are getting super high marks in the homework are saying, hey, it's cloudy, it's foggy, it's hard to catch up. So let me encourage you and tell you, that's so normal. There is, as I said before, a learning gap. From the time I introduce the material, hang on one second. The time I introduce the material, expect to work with it 2 or 3 weeks before it becomes natural. And we've only been here 3 weeks. So, the only thing that really honestly I would expect you to have down well, assuming you had been here every time, is the alphabet. Right? Is to be able to identify letters. Last week was the most boring chapter in the book, syllabification. But it also is about the least important in the book. Today is nouns. It's a super easy chapter, and it's super important. Okay? Before I tell you what we're going to do today, Carolina.
You've got some feedback coming from something. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for warning me about that. Let me turn down the volume on both these phones. In fact, so do not disturb. Volume is all the way off. Let's go do not disturb on here too. Check around and make sure are you? Yep, that's a microphone on.
Yep.
All right.
That's where it's coming
Maybe
from.
that's it right there.
All right.
Okay, great.
Good.
So now let me get the camera back on and we'll be in good shape. So I want to encourage you, it's normal to struggle for a little bit. It really is. I'm going to meet with Nolan for lunch next week. We're going to have a sandwich. We're going to get him caught up on what he missed because he missed a class and a half. He was here for half a class and had to leave. He missed another week entirely. He expressed a little frustration. Lots of people have expressed frustration. So today we're going to review. Okay? We're going to review. And I found out that I'm not leaving next summer. So that takes the pressure off of me to get done by early June. But it doesn't take the pressure off of you because you might be leaving next summer. So I'm going to try to get done with this class by early summer next year so nobody misses the end. Okay, that's the plan. But there's no sense in going fast and losing all my students and only one person succeeds in being able to read the Hebrew Bible at the end of the year. I want you to be able to read the Hebrew Bible at the end of the year. So there's some things I'm going to do differently. I'm not going to skip material, but I'm going to go fast over the stuff that I don't care if you learn right away. I want to stick to the most important parts of each chapter. Please read the whole chapter. Please try to understand the whole chapter. But I'm going to try to spend my time on the important grammatical concept that's being taught. Also, I'm going to do a better job of making the video available to you very soon after class. Only the first video made it onto my YouTube. The second video is on my Facebook, and that's horrible. I have to figure out how to get it off and get it on YouTube. The third video and the fourth video are on the camera. And so I'm going to be more diligent about getting them downloaded. I'm not going to worry about editing them and making them look cool. I'm just going to get them in raw form available to you on the YouTube channel so you can go back and watch the class 2 times, 3 times during the week if you're confused and having trouble with homework. I'm also going to highlight for you Dr. Bill Barrick's videos. So like Nolan was talking to me about pronouncing vowels. I need to go figure out which one it is. But this guy's a professional, and he teaches a class, and you can just listen to him go over it, and then rewind the tape and listen to him go over it, and that'll be helpful. I'm also going to record myself reading Genesis 1 through 5 in its own file. So then you can say, I don't want to listen to the whole class, but I want to listen to Genesis 1 through 5 3 or 4 times. Okay? I'm going to ask you, please do the homework, please read the book, but most importantly, please memorize the scripture. This might not feel like it's the key to understanding Hebrew long term, but trust me, you will forget grammatical rules. Does anybody remember all the rules from syllabification last week? I don't. I have to find them in the text, and then I know them, but I can't list them. In the Bible, you're going to, that's the canvas where all the paint that I'm giving you goes. Please memorize Genesis 1 through 5. Now, this is week 4. Next week is week 5, and we'll do a quiz on the concepts that you've learned on Genesis. So I'm going to ask you in Genesis to identify the letter Lamed in this word. It's not going to be hard. I'm not going to ask you to translate Genesis 1 through 5. I'm going to say, please tell me what this word here is, Hashemayim. It's a vocabulary word that you have. It's a word that's in the text of Genesis. I will test you from Genesis next week. Now, in week 8, so a month from now, I'm going to try to get you to reproduce from memory Genesis 1 through 5 on a piece of paper, right? And memorization will serve you for years to come. Let me prove it, okay? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He doesn't have to ask me what text I'm quoting. He doesn't have to say, I wonder who wrote that, where is that? He knows the 23rd Psalm, the most popular and widely known text in the Old Testament. And you're going to memorize it in Hebrew. It's not next. It's coming later after the winter break. But memorizing the text will stay with you forever. And I'd like to prove it one more time. Hey, Regis.
Hello. Sorry.
Let me prove it one more time. So we go, M&M's melt in your mouth, not in your hand. That's a commercial from the 1970s. And we remember it, right? Megan was talking about oven cleaner. We have a self-cleaning oven, whatever that is. And she said, this is easier than when you had to use Easy Off. But I could sing to her the Easy Off ad, the song from the Easy Off commercial. I would do that, except we're being recorded, so not going to do that. Right? But I remember that from when I was a kid because I memorized it. Memorization of Genesis will later, it will be the bedrock upon which your learning takes place. So if you have to choose what you're going to spend your time on, memorize Genesis 1 through 5 in Hebrew. Everybody good? Okay, I want to talk to you about some resources. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to share with you guys, I have an application that is called Bible That Is, and actually I have been just listening. I just recognize some words, but
Is it modern pronunciation or ancient pronunciation? Modern. Good.
so that I don't know everything, but at least like
You can hear some Hebrew. Now, in the syllabus, I provided you with a link to Mechon Mamre. And I was listening to Mechon Mamre this morning. Every text in the entire Hebrew Bible is read on audio files on Mechon Mamre. So you can go and find, where was I this morning? I was in Jeremiah chapter 20. And you go find Jeremiah chapter 20, and then, hey, Sergeant Major. And then if you want to, you can click on listen to this Bible text, and a native Hebrew speaker reads the whole text, and you can listen to it. Unfortunately, he goes fast, because that's how we speak. We speak fast in our native language. He goes fast. That'll be helpful to you. I want to tell you about some resources. This is one that you don't need. But ultimately, if you're going to be a pastor, it does look good with those lights.
Yeah, thanks.
It does. So if you're going to be a pastor, if you're going to be spending time in translation, you probably do need the Brown, Driver and Briggs Hebrew and English lexicon. Lexicon is a fancy word for a dictionary. I won't teach you how to use a lexicon today. That'll happen later. This is an old trick from my Greek study. They finally came out with a Hebrew version, published by Zondervan, a reader's Hebrew and English lexicon of the Old Testament.
wow.
This book expects that you already know all the words that occur in the Hebrew Bible 50 times or more, which you will if you do this textbook from start to back. Okay? Then all the rest of those words are listed, but not in order, but in order of the text you're in. So I just opened this up to Joel chapter 1, And the words that appear in the Bible less than 50 times are listed in the order that they appear in Joel chapter 1. So you might have your Hebrew text of Joel open, read along till you get stuck. What's that word? I don't know it. Look down verse 7, there it is. And it's too small for me without glasses. Yeah, it really is. Lavi, lion. I got it. Now you just write lion down. Maybe you remember it. Maybe you make a vocabulary card. Very helpful resource, but you don't need it yet. What you will get, what I will buy for you in this class in a few weeks, is this: Holidays, Concise Hebrew and Aramaic Lexicon of the Old Testament. Smaller and easier to use than the BDB, the Brown Driver Briggs. The CTOF is going to buy this. It is a fantastic book. I just wanted to wait and see how many students I had by like week 7 or week 8. Because I don't want to buy 12 books and have 5 students. So we'll buy this down the road when we figure out. After the tree gets done shaking and the leaves stop falling off, I will still have a core of students, and I will be purchasing that lexicon for you guys to use, to have. I have a trick where I mark my verbs in one color and my nouns in another color. And the reason is, in Hebrew, usually there's a verb and a noun associated with the same root letters. And it saves me lots of time when I go back and go, okay, here it is. Nafal, marked with a green highlighter, and I know that's the verb form of the verb to fall. Finally, this is the JPS Tanakh. This is, if you're going to attend Jewish worship services or Messianic Jewish services, or you want to have a translation from a Jewish perspective, on one side of the page is the text of the Hebrew Bible. On the other side is an English translation. But you need to know that it is a decidedly Jewish translation. And if you're looking for stuff that you expect should be there because of your study of the Old Testament, oftentimes I think they edit it out. I think they do. Namely Jesus. That's what they edit out. And it is what it is, but it's a wonderful translation, especially for use in worship. If it's for your private devotions, it looks beautiful, but it's not expensive. All right, Brown Driver and Briggs, probably $75. This is probably $40, and it's a wonderful Bible. So, okay, enough about that. Got to get started on the lesson today. I did talk about the quiz next week. Yes, ma'am.
There is a way to turn on the light, because that way I'm gonna.
I thought they were on. All the light switches are back in that corner. If you could just check. I'll check. All right, with that, I'm going to get to the slides, and let's start talking about Genesis. Okay, you've seen this before. It's Genesis 1, the first 5 verses. Wonderful. Thank you, George. And I just want you to repeat after me. I'm going to read 2 or 3 words at a time. And I just want you to repeat after me and watch where I'm pointing at the words. I know some of you have the alphabet down. Alphabet. I know some of you don't. So some of you will comprehend this more than others. But I still just want you to memorize what you're saying. You good with me, Regis? Yeah. All right, here we go. Bereshit bara.
Bereshit bara.
Bereshit bara Elohim.
Bereshit bara Elohim.
Bereshit bara Elohim.
Bereshit bara Elohim.
Now I'll translate for you. In the beginning, God created. Okay, here we go. Bereshit bara Elohim.
Bereshit bara Elohim.
Et hashemayim.
Et hashemayim.
I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. Eight hashemayim.
Eight hashemayim.
Eight hashemayim.
Eight hashemayim.
Va'et. Va'et haaretz.
Va'et haaretz.
That coming back here. Eight hashemayim. Va'et haaretz.
Eight hashemayim. Va'et
haaretz. Haaretz. That is the heavens and the earth. This 8 is a particle that marks the direct object. It's pronounced, but it's not translated. We don't have anything equivalent in English. This just tells you the direct object is right after that. Okay, here we go. Bereshit.
Bereshit.
Bara.
Bara.
Elohim.
Elohim.
Et.
Et
Hashemayim.
hashemayim.
Va'et.
Va'et.
Haaretz.
Haaretz.
Who understands what we just said? Heidi? Nope. Okay, here we go. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. One more time. Bereshit,
Bereshit.
bara,
Bara.
Elohim,
Elohim.
et,
Et.
hashemayim,
Hashemayim.
va'et,
Va'et.
haaretz.
Haaretz.
Lovely. That sounds good to my ear. That sounds good to my ear. Here we go. V'haaretz.
Haaretz.
V'haaretz.
Haaretz.
Good. Haita.
Haita.
Tohu.
Tohu.
Vavohu.
Vavohu.
V'haaretz.
Haaretz.
You know, I'm going to have to pronounce that Shabbat. Hayata.
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 Tohu.
Tohu.
Vavohu.
Vavohu.
And the earth was formless and void.
And
Moving
you
on.
can kind of see that because that is, without the symbol in the front, it looks just like earth on this side. So
Okay, so
I was able to
we've
deduct
got
that.
haaretz,
Yeah.
and then we have and haaretz.
Yeah.
We have the earth and the earth.
Yeah, I was able to deduct from what I know about Genesis 1 and 2 to that looks similar. That word looks similar to that. So the earth was. So I knew it was talking about the earth.
Yes,
again.
very good.
Yes.
So the hey with the comments under it is always the.
Aha, always is too strong a word, but yes,
Most of the time.
here it is. Not every comma hey you see is a definite article, but here it is. Ha Shemayim. We'll talk about the definite article in a couple of weeks, but yes, this for now, let's go with this is the word the. Remember your vocabulary word is eretz. Eretz is earth, and the earth. Awesome. You're reading Hebrew. See that? See how you're reading Hebrew?
And then that bob with the Shabbat is always and.
Or something like it. And, but, then, so, also.
Oh,
There are
got it.
lots of you. It's a conjunction.
Got it.
It is, get this, English has a lot of conjunctions. This is the Hebrew conjunction.
Got it.
Vav. Okay. All right. Let's stop with the end of this verse. How far is that? Way too far. Let's stop right where we are. Bereshit,
Bereshit.
bara,
Bara.
Elohim,
Elohim.
et,
Et.
hashemayim,
Hashemayim.
va'et,
Va'et.
haaretz,
Haaretz.
v'haaretz,
Haaretz.
hayata,
Hayata.
tohu,
Tohu.
vavohu,
Vavohu.
v'choshek,
Vachoshek.
v'choshek,
Vachoshek.
v'choshek, al,
Al.
panei,
Panei.
tahom.
Tahom.
Oh, here we go.
Sir, so after Bahashet, how you read the next one?
V'choshek,
Bahashet and the next one.
al,
How?
al,
Where's the L sound?
from the lamed.
Yeah, no, but I don't see a O.
It's the patak. The vowel is patak.
Yes.
In English transliteration is P-A-T-H-A-C-H, patak, and the vowel sound is ah.
Or I hear like O.
It's it's al panay if you're from Texas. Okay, al panay. Think
So O. To me, if I read it, I would say O.
oh, you thinking you're hearing an O sound?
Yes, I hear a O.
Ca-
And I see
It sounded like it almost sounded like you said owl, like O-L-O-W-L.
O.
So, sir, I might have a question that everyone probably already knows the answer to, but how can you tell where a word ends and another word begins? Because to me, I can't tell the difference because
Yeah, it's a space. That word is hyphenated. It's called a macaque, but just consider it a hyphen for now.
because I'm pretty sure these are two different words, but that keeps making me think that that's one word.
That's space.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a space.
even with the circle. In
Now,
it.
when you memorize, don't worry about that circle.
Okay.
Just ignore it. When you have memorized Genesis 1 through 5, if you ever have any doubt, where does one word end and one begin, you've memorized the text. You can go back and go, well, that's Bereshit. Final sound of the first word is a tav, and that's bara, and that's Elohim. And once you've memorized the text, all this becomes easy. Right? It all becomes easy. The patak in classical Hebrew was pronounced as an apple. Dr. Barrick's videos, he pronounces it as an apple. But in modern Hebrew, the comets and the patak both have an ah sound. Like awesome. Are you good?
Like us?
Like us. Like you and your mom. Exactly. Okay, where were we here? Hayata. Hayata. Tovu.
Tovu.
No. Tohu.
Tohu.
Vavohu.
Vavohu.
The earth was formless and void. Vachoshech.
Vachoshech.
Al Paneh.
Al Paneh.
Tahom.
Tahom.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Wow.
Bam. You are reading Hebrew. You might not know all the words. You don't know what that circle is. You might not be able to pronounce every vowel perfectly. Don't sweat it.
Is there the or the?
No.
Okay, because it sounded to me.
No.
Okay.
Let's stop there. I really want to emphasize for you, memorize Genesis 1 through 5. Because the questions about how to pronounce this vowel, and where does this word end, and what is this symbol, they get answered in the text. When you know the text, it'll be easy when you see it in the book being taught. In a few weeks, we're going to teach something called a construct state. Oh, goodness. And it's a chain of words. And you recognize this Yod is the sign of the construct state. You go, what's construct state? Don't worry about that today. But when you learn about it, you will have already had it, and you will already memorized Al Paneh Tahom, upon the face of the deep. Yes, ma'am.
So memorize means pronunciation plus the meaning of each word?
You learn as much as you can, right? I mean, I don't have it memorized so that I could write the accent marks.
Because let me just say, like when I was learning English, I just memorized the words, but I didn't know what they mean.
You have.
What in this situation is how it's pronounced and what they mean.
I want you to be able to pronounce it. I want you to be able to know what it means in terms of the word itself. I want you to be able to know what form it takes in the sense, what part of speech it is. You'll need to know it all eventually.
Okay.
Just for now, get what you can.
Okay.
Right? Get what you can. And if you're reproducing the letters of the alphabet in week 8 and throwing some vowels in there, even if it's not right, I'm going to be super happy. Right? I've been studying. Okay, true story about this text in my life. This is the last day of July. So just short of 2 years ago, I got in a Humvee with Staff Sergeant Stephen Bonet, and I had a JPS Tanakh in my lap, and I hadn't taken Hebrew since seminary. And I got in a Humvee, and we went down to Pinyon Canyon for Iron Strike. And somehow that short drive took all day, and all day I was sounding out very, very painfully, haaretz. I was sounding out Genesis 1 through 5. By the time the day was over, we had no place to sleep. I threw a cot out on the ground next to the Humvee, and as I was dozing off looking at the stars, I thought, I wonder if I'm going to remember any of that tomorrow. When I woke up in the morning and I looked up into heaven, I said, Bereshit bara Elohim et ha-shemayim va-et ha'aretz. And I went on for a little while. I had memorized a pretty good chunk. And that is lasting, like the jingle you heard for M&Ms. M&Ms melts in your mouth, not in your hand. You remember it from when you were a kid, right? So memorize the scripture. Then, when I learned the construct state, it was the second time I learned it, sure, but I could find it. I go, oh yeah, I already know how that works. It works like this in Genesis chapter 1. Boom, construct, I got it. And that is so helpful, because if I start throwing rules at you, which I do, if I start throwing rules at you, they won't stick until you have a place to apply them. Right? Rules only work in the context of an actual working language. Let's move on. Let's get to some review now. And I'm really going to have to watch the clock because I put a bunch of review slides in here. And what we're going to do now is the alphabet. Everyone remember these guys? Some of you did homework. Some of you got like 100% and 96% on your homework. And some of you didn't. But that's okay. Let's just pronounce them going down from the top. Aleph.
Aleph.
Beit.
Beit.
Gimel.
Gimel.
Dalet.
Dalet.
Hey.
Hey.
Vav.
Vav.
Zion.
Zion.
Chet.
Het.
Tet.
Tet.
Yod.
Yod.
Kaf.
Kaf.
Lamed.
Lamed.
Mem.
Mem.
Nun.
Nun.
Samek.
Samek.
Ayin.
Ayin.
Hey.
Hey.
Sade.
Sade.
Kof.
Kof.
Resh.
Resh.
Sin.
Sin.
Sheen.
Sheen.
Tav.
Tav.
Excellent. You guys sound great. Now, do you remember what we do next? We sing. Oh, because singing will embed this in your memory. And when I'm lost in a lexicon and I'm looking for the second radical in a word, and I can't remember, does pay come before sadi? I catch myself singing pay and sadi, kuf and resh. Right? Here we go. Ready? I walk to the tune of
Yankee Doodle.
Yankee Doodle. Great. Here we go. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey and Vav and Zion, Chet and Tet and Yod and Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei and Sadi, Kuf and Resh, Sin and Sheen and Tav. That was just me and a couple of little quiet voices. But I understand that.
I just don't know
so I
the
can
tunes.
sing it.
Huh?
This is recorded so I can sing it.
I will, because I care for your progress, I will record that.
I will record it here. Okay, let's sing again.
All right, sing again. Here we go. Yeah, you can record me. That's fine.
No, I'm just gonna put it in here and just record for my own sake.
Sing along if you can.
Uno, dos, tres.
Here we go. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey and Vav and Zion, Chet and Tet and Yod and Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei and Sadi, Kof and Resh, Sin and Sheen and Tav. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey and Vav and Zion, Chet and Tet and Yod and Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei and Sadi, Kof and Resh, Sin and Sheen and Tav. Anybody willing to sing loud enough for me to hear them?
Sir, you gotta teach me the tune to Yankee Dan.
Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Ta-da! A little bit outdated. Don't be handy with the girls these days, but, right?
Listen, Ray.
You know, what's wrong with America? Well, we started out with this song, yeah. But anyway, that is called a mnemonic, and it allows you to associate the content you're trying to memorize with a tune that you already know. Everybody got it? All right, super cool. You want to sing it?
Let's do it, sir.
So, okay, so let's do it. Last time. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey and Vav and Zion, Chet and Tet and Yod and Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei and Sadi, Kuf and Resh, Sin and Sheen and Tav. Ta-da! You guys are getting it. Now you're singing Hebrew. Love it.
I'll tell you, I'm just doing the alphabet song equivalent, so.
Right? It is the alphabet song. Hey, it worked for you in kindergarten, didn't it? All right, here we go. Vowels. Vowels. These are the long vowels. Don't get stressed out about long and short. Just learn the vowels and their vowel sounds. Right? Later on, it'll matter. Right now, just learn the vowel sounds. Comets. The ah sound in the word comets is how you pronounce this vowel. Comets. Ah, as in father. Sere. The A sound, as in they, is how you pronounce this vowel. We have 3 Spanish speakers in the room, at least. And when you say senor, it's the same. For English speakers, it's harder because that E we associate with the E and an S sound. But for Spanish speakers, it's the A sound, as in el señor. Good? Okay. Holum. O, as in row. Holum. All it's about is recognition at this point. Here are your short vowels. Patak. Ah, as in father. Okay? Patak. Ah. Segol.
Segol.
As in segol. As in better. Hirik.
Hirik.
I as in bitter. I as in bitter. Sometimes it's going to have an E sound, particularly with a yod. Okay, comments hatu. Don't be worried about this one. O as in bottle. And honestly, when you pronounce it in chokmah, it's O as in whole. Chokmah. Comments hatu. We talked about it. We'll talk about it again. Kibbutz. Kibbutz as in ruler. You said it exactly right, Jessica. Reduced vowels. All of the reduced vowels are barely pronounced. It's called a hatef vowel, meaning a half vowel. So the hatef patak is as in amuse. The hatef sagol as in metallic. You don't say metallic or metallic. It's metallic. It's because you race past it that it doesn't get a full vocalization. Hatef comments as O as in commit. Commit. Notice the note at the bottom. All they're barely pronounced as in amuse, metallic, commit. Good? Here they are in review. Read them with me, please, from top to bottom. A-class vowels are comments, hatak, hatef hatak. Excellent. E-class vowels are sere, sagol, and hatef sagol. Short vowels are hirik. I'm sorry, the short I-class vowels hirik. The O-class vowels are holum, comments hatuf, and hatef comments. Notice, believe it there. Kibbutz. Some vowels are written with the vowel letter hey at the end of a word. Comments hey is pronounced as in father. Comments hey. Comments hey. Sere hey. A as in they. Sagol hey. As in better. Holum hey. O as in roll. Notice it doesn't. The hey does not change the pronunciation of the vowel. It's just a letter that shows you the vowel is there.
Third question. I know I have to read the books with the rules, but so comments hey can be in the middle of the word, at the end of the word, at the beginning of the word. I forgot
Okay. The comments. Hey, I'm sorry. Any of these vowel letters written with a hey come at the end of a word.
Okay.
Only.
Okay.
Only. If a hey is in the middle of a word, it's not necessarily a vowel letter. Here we go. Some vowels are written with a vav. These are important to learn just as they are. Holum vav is O, as in roll. The vav does not change the sound of the vowel. It just makes it irreducible, unchangeable.
So like, there's a bet and a hole in vav. So is that bow?
Bow. Bow.
There's no vav in there.
As in enter in. Bo Yeshua.
Okay.
Come Lord Jesus. There it is. Bo.
And same thing with the hey. The hey at the end of it doesn't. You don't have that hey sound at the end of the
Nope.
word.
It does not change the sound of the vowel letter. The only
But you don't
possible.
have a hey though either. It's like a silent hey.
The hey is just an H sound. It's an H letter, and it in that context does not affect the sound of the vowel.
Okay.
Let me go back. Here you
The
go.
top one should say is comments hey. So that's ba.
Ba.
Right.
Ba.
Okay.
And how do we spell ba in English? B-A-H. Right?
Right.
Ba humbug. B-A-H. Same thing.
Okay.
Moving on.
Sorry.
Okay. There are vowel letters written with yod. Sarah yod.
Very good.
A as in they. Notice it doesn't change the sound. Segol hey. I'm sorry, segol yod. Segol yod as in better. Now here's where I think that the yod does change the sound of the hirik. The hirik yod is E as in machine. But if we go back, say that with me. Hirik yod. E. But if we go back and find just the hirik, how is the hirik pronounced? I as in bitter. I think the yod does change the sound. Certainly, as I'm reading it in words, it's very common that E sound is correct. Okay? Okay, ready for nouns? That was your review. That should help you tremendously in reading Genesis. If you catch those letters and those vowels, you should be able to sound out Genesis. Nolan, you okay?
Oh, Roger, I just I'm trying to take care of a soldier right now. I might have to.
All right, brother. Hebrew nouns. Now,
I just have a question. Sure. I know that the time is short, but okay, so since you said these rules of the third lesson are not like big things, because when I was doing like the separating the syllables in here, so I was kind of confused with this one, because so I have in here Aleph, and then I have a noun in here. I mean, yes, and then so I don't find it.
okay, each syllable is only one whole vowel.
Yes.
Vowel not counted. That has to be written by the soul.
So this one, this is a Shabbat.
Hey.
It's
Right.
small, it's not.
Right.
It's
This
not because it's
Now you pronounce that Anahu.
Anahu.
So in English you think it's 3 syllables, but there are 2 Hebrew syllables in it. Anahu and Nu. Okay, let's talk about nouns. Let me make it easy before we go through these slides. There's a couple things you need to know about nouns. And this is the thing. Nouns have gender, either masculine or feminine. There is no neuter in Hebrew. There is a masculine or feminine only, and all nouns have gender. Don't worry about that, but you need to know it, okay? All nouns inflect, in other words, they change when you make them plural, okay? And Hebrew has another, besides singular and plural, they also have a dual for just a few words. Dual would be 2. For instance, 2 ears. That's the gist of this lesson. It is one of the easiest but most important lessons in the book. Okay? We're going to talk about a bunch of little variances in there. Don't get hung up on those details. Learn how to inflect nouns today, and you'll be running fast very quickly. Here we go. With regard to gender, Hebrew nouns are masculine or feminine. It says a few nouns are both masculine and feminine. Don't worry about that. With regard to a noun's number, it may be singular, indicating 1, plural, indicating more than 1, or dual, indicating only 2. Dual is 2.
What's the? Oh, okay, never mind. I
Okay.
was trying to figure out the difference there.
Now, the one thing I didn't say that you're going to have to learn today is that when you change the form of the noun, the vowels are likely to change. When you change the form of a noun, the vowels are likely to change. If you get that much today, you win. Okay? It's really that simple of a lesson. Here we go. Now,
Say it again, sir.
when you change the form of a noun, the vowels are likely to change. Now, this is called inflection. English is a only mildly inflected language. I run, he runs, she ran, we have run. Just a couple little forms, and we usually modify the verb by putting a word with it. Have run, okay? Or we say apples or apple. It only inflects a little bit. Just change one letter, okay? Mouse, mice. Why is that? Don't know why. English doesn't have rules why it inflects, but it inflects only slightly. Hebrew is a highly inflected language, meaning the shape, the words are going to change. What you're going to recognize in each noun is this basic form. This is called the masculine singular form, okay, of a masculine noun. Or the feminine singular form here, Torah. This is the one you'll have to use to look it up in the lexicon, fancy word for dictionary. If you're trying to find this, you're not going to find an entry for just this. You have to find it under Seuss. So part of the CSI, the crime scene investigation, when you're trying to understand a word in the Bible, is try to figure out what is the root form, the lexical form. Okay, this is the word for horse, Seuss. The masculine singular is spelled Samek, Shurik, Samek. Seuss. Say that with me. Seuss. 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 Dr. Seuss. Dr. Horse. Very easy. Okay? When it's pluralized, it becomes Susim. Susim.
Susim.
Susim. Notice this is the masculine plural ending. This is the standard normative masculine plural. Not most of the time it's hierarchiod mem on the end of a noun. That's the default. If you got any doubt, put that on there and you're probably good to go. There are some nouns that pluralize irregularly, as you might expect. But they're easy too. Okay? This is the dual form. Susayim. 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 Sus. Notice the accent. Won't find that in the Bible. You'll find a different accent. But susayim. Wonderful. That's the dual. That's rare, but it's in some really common words like Egypt, like heaven, like water. Nah, I'm not telling you the truth. We'll get to that later. Here we go. Later today. Torah. Torah. Notice a feminine noun typically ends in kames he. A feminine noun typically ends in kames he. Not always. There are some feminine nouns that have no clue that they're feminine. You just have to know that. And there's a list on this chapter and you can look at it. Here we pluralize feminine nouns with the ot ending. Holvav tav. Torot. Torot. Good. And then if it's going to be dual, it's going to be Torah tot. I'm sorry. Toratayim. That's getting it off the tape right there. Toratayim. What a mess. I've never seen that word, so don't worry. There are a few duals, but duals usually appear in pairs naturally in the world, like ears and eyes. Right? It's very normal for them to be described that way. And when you memorize Isaiah 6, you're going to say, my eyes have seen. And there will be that plural, the dual form. Okay, ready to move on? Singular, plural, and dual are your numbers, and your genders are masculine and feminine. Easy, right? If you remember the root form, the ah ending, the eem ending, the ot ending, the ayim ending, and the atayim ending, then you will have everything you need to decode these things. There's a summary. Here we go. Let's try it on some words. Hopefully, these are not just crazy symbols to you now. Right? Hopefully, you can recognize that letter. Tell me what that letter is.
Malakim.
Oh, listen to her. Malakim. 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 So there we go. Melech is the root word. Is it a vocabulary word?
Yes.
Melech means king. 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 Melech means king. Malakim is the plural. Did I tell you that if we change the form that the vowels are likely to change? Look here. The vowels have changed from Melech to Malakim. We'll explain why as we go. For now, I just want you to see this ending over and over. Sus, Susim. Repeat after me. Melech, Malakim. Malakim. Very good. Davar, Davarim. Davar, Davarim. Yeled, Yeladim. Yeled, Yeladim. You guys are doing good. I'm going to speed up. Yom, Yamin. Yom, Yamin. Malcha, Malachot. We'd like to take a stab at what that word might mean. Queen. How about that right there? What's that tell you? Queens. Got it. You're reading Hebrew. No, really. Get excited. That's actually reading Hebrew. You know, this word means king. You know, that's a feminine ending. You know, that's a feminine plural ending. And somehow you got from king to queens by just looking at that. And how can you identify this as Melech? The same three radicals, same three root letters. Good, good. Torah tot. Torah. Choma. Chomot. Bat. Banot. Uh-oh. That one's irregular. It's just irregular. Right? You've learned other languages, you know English. Doesn't always follow a rational pattern for spelling. This is an irregular. Bat is daughter, banot is daughters. Banot. Chesed. Notice I pronounce the first syllable. Chesed. Chesed. That's a feminine noun. It means bow, as a hunting bow or a fighting bow. And now the syllable, the accent's on the first syllable here, but here it's kashatot. Kashatot. Accent mark disappears. Accent goes back to that last syllable. Kashatot. Kashatot. Good, thank you. Thanks for putting up with my poor pronunciation. Let's do some duels. Yomayim. Yomayim, 2 days. Toratayim. 2 instructions. Regalayim. 2 feet. Yadayim. 2 hands. Einayim. 2 eyes. Everybody good? Just see how they're formed. You don't have to write them yet. You just have to identify them. Yes, ma'am.
I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure you mentioned it. As far as the accent, when it's actually visible in the text, is that in all text or just here because we're learning it in the class?
That little caret mark is not in the Bible. You know what? I think it might be sometimes. Usually what you're going to see, though, are these. See those accent marks? I'm looking for a word that's accented on the last syllable, and I will. Here we go. That is not accented on the last syllable. Haaretz. Haaretz. That right there is a salute. It marks the last accented syllable in the verse before the sof pasuk at the end. See, that little line is your accent. But this book doesn't teach accents. It covers it in the last chapter, and it barely gets into it. I want you to be able to read the Bible as written, and it's really helpful to know where the accents are. So I want you to memorize Genesis 1 through 5, and then we'll be able to point out all those little tiny details. And it is a tiny detail, isn't it? Yeah. Right? I got it blown up here on the screen. It's still tiny. And that book, it's a little tiny line. But you'll learn to see them if you memorize the text. Great question. So Carolina was asking about that caret mark, which we're going to call an accent mark, and it is not to be found in your biblical texts. There we go. When looking up a noun in the lexicon, you must search for the lexical form. The lexical form for any noun is the singular form. For example, the lexical form of susim is sus, the masculine singular form. Likewise, the lexical form of Torah, of Torot, feminine plural, is Torah, the feminine singular noun. So you're going to look in the book, in the lexicon, which I brought today. You're going to look for the root word, the simple form, the singular form. There we go. All masculine forms are endingless, but not all endingless nouns are masculine. I told you there would be some exceptions where the feminine nouns don't have commas hey on the end. And here's a list of very common words. You don't have to memorize this today. I want you to get the concept. When you memorize your vocabulary, when you memorize Genesis, these things will fall into place. Eretz. Yad. Ear. Let's do it again. Eretz. Land. Yad. Hand. Ear. City. Nefesh. Notice that accent mark. Nefesh. Soul, life, person. We're going to talk about this class of noun here in a little bit. Cherev. Cherev is a sword. Even. Stone. Regel. Foot. Notice all these 1, 2, 3, 4 all look the same, don't they? Same vowel, same accent mark, and they're feminine. That's what you can't see, but that's what I want you to get off this slide. They're feminine. Nefesh, Cherev, Even, Regel. Aim, mother. Modern Hebrew, they say Ima, my mother. But it's different in ancient Hebrew. Kaf. That is this part of your hand. Or the bottom of your foot. And Ozen. That's your ear. Ozen. Doing well. Time-wise, how are we doing? 12:19. Moving on. That's how we're doing. In the process of pluraling nouns, some singular nouns of one gender take a plural ending of another gender. You just have to know them. Av, which is father, you'd think that Av would be Avim. It's not, it's Avot. Fathers is Avot. That won't bother you though, because Av is an inherently masculine word. It means father. You're not going to get confused about the gender of the word father. You just see the feminine plural ending on there and you go, oh, this one's weird. It's irregular. Shame. Shemot. You think it would be Shemim? It's not. Shemot. It's irregular. Shana. Shanim. Shana is feminine, but it takes a masculine plural ending. Shanim. And you'll mark it as feminine plural when you're parsing. Isha. The plural of Isha is Nashim.
Oh,
Yeah. I know, right? Ish is man. Anashim is the plural of man. And that noon just drops in there. Same with woman. Isha, Nashim.
This is amazing how the Hebrew shows how females are.
Isha,
Yeah, because change.
you change. Okay, very good, very good. Hebrew changes a lot. Here we go. Here are three words that are always dual but normally singular in, that's what I was trying to say earlier, in translation. Shemayim. Now, keep in mind, this does not always have to do with a heavenly place, a spiritual location. It does mean the sky in some context. Okay? It means the heavens, everything above the earth. But it also does have that spiritual meaning. Mizrayim.
Is there a word that's direct translation of sky versus using heaven or heaven?
No. Not to my knowledge. Shemayim is a super common word in the Bible. And the concept is that it's what is above the earth. And you can include in that everything that's above the earth. All the way as far as you want to go. The throne of God. Mayim. Water. Mayim. Just recognize those. They have that dual ending, that plural ending, and they are usually translated as singular. Some words translate their consonantal stem when plural endings. Hebrew words inflect. Here we go. Yom.
I'm sorry. I was curious. Does Egypt have the dual ending because Egypt in translation was two rivers?
Maybe. I read something like that one time.
Okay.
But Mitzrayim is Egypt. You know what? Hey, great question. That's the thing you would want to go find in a lexicon or a dictionary of the Old Testament. I have only the first 8 volumes of the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament. I'm trying to find them, use and buy them, snatch them up. But I've got through men. One second, Carolina. They'll have articles about the etymology and the usage of the word, and 4 or 5, 10 pages, depending on what the word is. You can get all kinds of information from that source, and that is a way better source than the baloney that's on the internet about what words mean and what letters mean. Yes, ma'am.
Just a suggestion for anyone who actually wants to try to find older dictionaries. Thrift shops are usually your best bet, and they're cheap.
Dictionaries?
Uh-huh.
You think they might find the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament?
There's a lot you can find there.
I'm willing to drive to find it, so that sounds good. Thank you. Okay.
Hopefully mine comes in a box soon.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to hit escape here and see where we are. We are on 21 out of 30. Okay. There's a thing called defective spellings. I'm going to just teach this quickly rather than read everything. Notice that sometimes a dot might not have the holum vav. It might just have the holum. Okay, a rabbi friend of mine got bothered with me when I said it was defective writing. That might not be politically correct. But it means the same and it's pronounced the same. So if you see a word that you expect to have the holum vav, but it just has the holum, don't be surprised. Don't get thrown by that. Okay, what do we got here? Mishpachot. Mishpachot or mishpachot. It's exactly the same.
Like a consonant or a contraction, like don't.
Well,
Yeah,
this
if it appears.
is a holum vav, which is exactly the same as a holum.
Yeah, okay, got it.
in pronunciation. And you know what? Human beings cruise along, right, in Hebrew. Maybe somebody prefers to spell it with the whole vav, and somebody doesn't. Right? You'll see that with the word with the name of David sometimes. You've got kuchot, statue, or kuchot, exactly the same. Everybody understand? Don't be bothered by that. You go, hey, where did the vav go? Don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just an alternate spelling.
Just seems like if it's in there, if it's like that often that it's noticeable, then it doesn't seem like it'd probably be defective writing. Might be somebody, like you said, somebody's style. But
Some grammarian has called this defective writing. And I was fine with that until I was studying with Rabbi Lombroso, whose contact information is in your syllabus. He does private tutoring. And you know, I said about defective spelling, and he was like, why do you have to call it defective? You know, the Hebrew Bible is, and he didn't like it. So I'm going to refrain from really using that. But just notice, it makes no difference. Nouns. Okay, some nouns do not change their form when they're pluralized. And I'll tell you why. Because they're not long enough to have to, or they don't have a whole vowel in the first syllable. Okay? So they don't really change. You just add the ending on there. Like cholom. Love this word. Cholom. 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 Cholomot. It doesn't change. You got the regular mem rather than the mem sophi, but it stays the same. Those are nice and easy, but they're the exception. Most nouns are going to have vocalic reduction. The vowels are going to reduce, and I want to teach this to you. This is what I've already been talking about this for a couple weeks. I've been talking about this a couple weeks, but now you have to learn it. Okay? Here's a word you learned early: davar. Where is the accent on davar? Davar, the second syllable. I probably mispronounce it half the time. Davar, the accent on the second syllable. But when you make it davarim, now you have 3 syllables, and you have to hurry through the first syllable. So this comments gets reduced to a shavah because it is in the 3rd syllable from the accent. Heard this from me before, right? Yeah. We're counting syllables. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Devarim. In order to get to that 3rd accented syllable, just think of it this way. You have to kind of go fast. Devarim. Davar. Devarim. Easy, right?
What is the accent then in Davarim? Davarim.
It's on the last syllable. So if you don't see an accent mark, Jessica,
Yeah.
assume that the accent is on the final syllable. There are times when it won't be, like ha'aretz, but they're marked. They're marked. Okay, here we go. Levav, levav, levavot, levavot. See how the sere reduced to a shavah in the first position, in that 3rd to the end syllable. That's called protonic reduction. That doesn't help me. Maybe it'll help you. I want to teach Biblical Hebrew in plain English. So the 3 syllables away from the accent, it must reduce to a shabbat. Okay? Anan. Anan. Cloud. Or cloud mass. Cloud bank. Nani. Chad, you said it has to reduce to a shabbat. Yes, I did. And it did. However, that's a guttural, right? What guttural can't take a shabbat, and it prefers an A-class vowel. So there's your shabbat right there. But we have to put a little A-class vowel there. That guttural will not stand with just a shabbat. Yep, it's starting to catch on. You've heard that rule 3 times, 3 weeks now, and now, boom, there it is. I see it click.
I think I'm still stuck in. I can tell you what's a feminine and what's a masculine noun, but that's about where I'm at.
Okay.
That's as far as I've
But
got.
you've missed a couple class periods,
Okay.
and I'll catch you up as best I'm able. But notice what I'm trying to teach right now is this comment cannot stay when it gets pluralized because it's the 3rd syllable now. Ananim. Ananim. Anan. Ananim. There's the accent. There's the reduced vowel. And clear. Chatzer. Chatzer. I love that word in Psalm 116 in the last verse. The chatzrot, there in the courts of the house of the Lord, in the midst of Jerusalem. Hallelujah. I love it. I'll share some music with you later that'll help you with that. Chatzerot. Chatzerot. That it has to reduce. That's going to make Hebrew easy if you catch that today. If you catch that today, the nouns, the vowels sometimes are going to have to change, and I just told you why. If you catch that, nouns will be easy. Okay, segolate nouns. Woo-wee. It'd probably be wise to read that aloud, but I just want to point out to you that segolate nouns are accented on the first syllable. No matter how they're spelled, Sefer doesn't have two segols, but it's still considered segolate. Baal, which means master, it has two pataks, but it's a segolate noun. Notice how they resemble one another with that accent on the first syllable. Okay? When they reduce differently. And I'll show you on the next slide. Okay, they're segolate nouns because they are accented on the first syllable. In the singular, the vowels may be different. Patak, patak, zera. That is segol, patak. Zera means seed. It means your descendant. Boker. That vowel's tiny on my slide, but there's a hole. Boker. Notice the emphasis is on the first syllable. In the grammar, it's marked like this. Sefer. Sefer. Okay? But when we reduce them on the next slide, the vocalic reduction looks the same on all of them. And that makes it easy. Here we go. It's always Shava comments. Isn't that nice? I said always.
Yeah.
All right. I almost never get to say always. I always say that's true, except when it's not. All right. But this time, I really do believe it's always Melech Malachim. Notice, even though it's a segol in the root word, in a segolic noun, it changes to, it inflects to a comments in the plural. Melech Malachim. Sefer Sefarim. This is your turn. Nefesh. Nefesh. Beautiful word also. Soul, self, life. Nefashim. Nefashot. 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 Cherev. And this would be Karavot. Karavot. Notice, because it's a kaf, which is a guttural, it has a hatef attack. It's always Shavah, even if it's a Shavah in a half-def vowel. Everybody good? Super good. Yes, you're good. You know you are. You know you understand. Here we go. Geminate nouns. I'm not going to spill a lot of ink or waste a lot of tape on geminate nouns, but there are two consonants in geminate noun, and originally they probably had three. So it would have been like ayin, mem, mem for people. And when they're pluralized, they actually regain that lost radical, that lost consonant. Meme. Notice, what is that? Dagesh forte. Dagesh forte, the doubling dagesh. So really it's meme. Amin. Depending on how fast you're reading, you'll be able to hear that or you won't. Amin. Chok. So notice the difference in the sound of these two consonants. There is some saliva in the chet, but there's not in the kof. Chok. Chok. Good. Rabbi Lambroso corrected my pronunciation very recently of the kof because I was kind of pronouncing it like chet. Chokim. I'm sorry. Chukim. Chukim. Arrow. Ches. Chetzim. Notice the doubling dagesh in each of these.
Is this K or he, the arrow, the plural,
Chetzim. I probably mispronounced it. Chetzim. But I think, just being a Hebrew reader, that arrow, which is a stick, comes from the word ace, which is a tree. Just got a different consonant. Face. All right.